Well, welcome everybody to the July 6th, 2022 state meeting of the North Carolina People's Party of North Carolina. We welcome our guest, T.C. Townsend. It's always good to have you, sir. And of course, everybody else is, our buddy Delmas Parker is now joining. So we'll go ahead and get started. Aaron, did you want to go ahead and you said you had some things you wanted to cover today? Did you want to go ahead? Hey, Delmas, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Delmas.
He's muted, but I think he's okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I do have some stuff I wanted to cover, but before I did, I think we should do an update on the executive committee.
Exactly. I'll go ahead and read out this announcement that Bob sent to me and Aaron earlier today concerning Bob's involvement in the party. And I'll go ahead and read it. It says, I hereby resign from any and all leadership capacities and responsibilities in the People's Party of North Carolina. I will continue as a member, and I pledge to do all I can to help establish a party that is truly of, by, and for the people, based on love and compassion as set forth in Rabbi Michael Lerner's book, Revolutionary Love. So Bob is taking a more of a backseat kind of role to being like on the executive committee or what have you. And that's understandable. Bob has been through a heck of a lot over the past 6 months, 8 months. And he's probably had to make some adjustments to his lifestyle. And, I get the feeling he's a little bit overwhelmed by some of this stuff. And so he's taken a little bit of just a membership role, which is great. We need all the support we can get. So going forward, Bob is no longer, we don't have a vice chair position filled as of now. And so we move forward and with all great speed and determination. And if anybody would like to, have any comments or anything right now, feel free to go ahead and say something.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Did he mention anything about why? I mean, I can kind of guess, but I wonder if he offered any.
Right. Yeah, he did. He did not. What I read to you there was all that he sent. And, of course, I wished him well and told him that, we appreciate all his efforts, past and future. And, if he can participate in capacity that he feels he can participate in, then we love it. Bob has been somebody that's been very instrumental in getting me and Aaron, especially involved in this whole thing. And so that's something to keep in mind. Of course, Signy as well. So they kind of started this all, but I think it's imperative that we continue to push forward and keep making progress here. So with that being said, okay, Janet, what's on your mind?
It just occurred to me that we might send him some kind of a message of thanks for all that he's done and yeah.
Right. Well, I think that's a good idea. Jot down some notes here.
But it's not like he's leaving the party. He's just leaving that position, right?
Right.
Yeah, so he should still be involved to some degree here. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically the news on that. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, and I'll just add that it's yet to be seen if he'll, for all we weren't even sure if he was going to make it tonight. He still might, but I think he's going to do so at his own pace, and we're just going to play it by ear. Wanted to point out we still had this convention coming up. We have to start planning that, and that's something that we need to think about as a group. And then obviously the big part that we need to think about as well, and we should be doing this anyways, but some of the things specifically about recruiting and membership is thinking about the strategy that we're going to have moving forward with that. I talked to Scott a little bit about this morning. Some thoughts I have about start being aggressive in our outreach and membership recruitment. So I think as far as online and social media, we'll continue to do that. I think I would like to clip some of our previous videos that we recorded and some of the guest speakers that we've had over the last year, and be posting those just to give people an idea and flavor of what we're about and what we're trying to do here. Clipping the interview with Matthew Hull would be a great example of that as well. And from an on the ground strategy, one thing I think we need to be doing is plugging into the college syndicates and universities. We have colleges all over the state, and it'll serve as two purposes. It'll be basically like a pipeline that we can build infrastructure around, but it could also get us diversity. It could get us, we could go to A&T, we can go to different places. It give us energy and youth that we'll need to diversify and get boots on the ground as we get going here. We're starting to really move into the next phase. A lot of the stuff that we've done up until this point has been paperwork, and then you just kind of those like remedial tasks that we have to do for the state to be recognized, but most of that is largely done now. So we have to really start thinking about that next phase. So we're pretty much moving into that phase now. It's obviously Bob was a big part of what that would have looked like with recruitment and outreach. So we're not sure how much he's going to be involved with that still, but we need to plan accordingly. So.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that and support that statement all 100% worth. The best way for us to get more people is for each one of us to find a way to connect with those that we're close with. Those are the ones who are going to listen better than anyone else. Of course, sometimes those are the hardest ones to convert, but we find some ways of being able to get out to these locations with the kids, find events that we can table at, things of that nature, and bring in more membership. So we can do some brainstorming on that. We also Delmas, can you hear me, buddy? You're muted. See if you can unmute yourself.
You might be able to unmute him.
Well, yeah, I'm looking for a way to do that. Let me see here.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Yep, we can hear you now.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
I wanted to particularly say hello to Mark. I can recall early on Progressive Democratic Party, Progressive Democratic meeting where Mark was there, and he said, was talking about, that was back when we were involved in Iraq, and he was talking about he would march with anyone for peace. He really impressed me in that meeting, and I've remembered it ever since. Another group was the Veterans for Peace that I work with. But like Mark and yourself, I've been working my whole adult life for social justice in this world, and primarily in the Democratic Party. But I've tried to stand for the values that really are for people and help the people. Of course, I think, as much as I know about, I was really impressed with Chris Hedges and Cornel West. I thought they're people that I look to as inspiration as well. I think party in itself is a job building infrastructure. It's a job.
Mhm.
One thing I do know that one of the shortcuts, if the parent organization or the national organization can get on the ballot in 2/3 of the states, then you're automatically on the ballot in North Carolina without having to spend money gathering signatures and that sort of thing.
Yeah, you're talking about you talking about 35 state rule.
Yeah. Is it 35? I thought it's 2/3.
I don't know. The only thing I've heard about is this 35 state rule. Mark, you raise your hand. Why don't you jump in here? It's a good segue for you. Mark?
He's
Mark, you're on-
muted.
You're on mute.
Gotta unmute here. Yeah, it's actually 70%, but that it's 70% of states, and they don't mention DC's electoral votes. So that would be 35 states until such time as they add one more, and then it'll be 38 or 36. But anyway, yeah, the rule took effect in 2017, and it's if the party's presidential nominee is on the ballots in at least 35 states, and one of them can be North Carolina. It doesn't say it has to be 35 other states than ours. So that's the only. We are the only state that has any such rule, and pretty much the Republicans passed it to keep the Greens on the ballot for 2020. And if they had gotten on the stick before COVID hit and had ballot access in more states, who knows? They might not have had to petition this time. Anyway, that's the 35 state rule. But right now there is no National People's Party that can actually run candidates, although it remains to be seen. They might possibly, they'd have to have an awful lot of financial backing to get on the ballot in 35 states in 2024, because basically they don't have much. If we're talking about MPP, which is really the only entity calling itself People's Party at a national level, they have nothing on the ground in most places, and so unpaid volunteer petitioners are going to be few and far between. And if you haven't got those, you need a lot of paid ones. So there's very little chance of this party getting on the ballot for after 2024, unless something that I consider highly improbable develops. I wanted to know, Scott, can you put a link in the chat to the current bylaws? I want to check and make sure what we said happens as far as quorums and majorities and supermajorities when you only have 5 members of the executive committee. Also, you were talking about membership. One of the ways a person can become a member other than paying dues. You can get people who are simply signature members, and I'm not sure if the bylaws say and pay dues. I think they do, but it's dues as determined by the executive committee. That much I'm sure of. In any case, if you could put a link to that Google Doc so we get the current, the latest revision. Looking in the documents section on Gilded, it doesn't come up.
I see. Okay, well, I just saw that the link was there, but let's see what we got here. Yeah, so let's see. Okay, yeah. Yeah, actually, I just brought it up.
Oh, okay. From the Gilded?
Yeah, from the Gilded, yeah.
All right, let me try again.
Janet, you're up.
Yeah, Janet has a hand raised.
Well, I don't know if I'm getting too far ahead in the discussion, but Mark mentioned MTP, and I was curious. They made a statement in support of Matthew Hoh and against the keeping him off the ballot, and so that's kind of an intervention in North Carolina. And I just don't know what kind of a relationship we would or wouldn't have with them. So that was, yeah.
So to clarify the question, you're asking what relationship we as a group would have with MPP?
Yes, and are they trying to do anything as far as North Carolina is concerned?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And I think part of the answer is like yet to be seen here, but I think ultimately what we are seeing is from Matthew Hoh's perspective, he is attempting to get on as many platforms as he can to share his story and spread the word out of what's going on in North Carolina. And no
Right.
better place to do that than Jimmy Dore. So I absolutely do not knock him for doing that at all. I think that was a smart
Right.
move. As far as Jimmy Dore is concerned, he's still and has been very closely connected with Nick Brana, and he's still friends with Nick Brana, and MPP as a national group have been attempting to basically their strategy, and this has been it. We've realized this for a few months now. The Hail Mary approach, and let's get the biggest personality that we can that we know all leftists will get behind in Jimmy Dore, convince him to run as MPP, and then he'd be on the national ballot. That is their strategy. There's no really other, as far as action goes, they're not on the ground. They're not doing anything state by state that we don't already know as far as outreach. There might be, I mean, maybe in Massachusetts, I know there were a lot of like really strong Nick Brana supporters there. Maybe they're doing something there. I doubt it. I doubt there's anything different. Nothing more than what unless there are volunteers coming together in a state doing all the work, they personally, like MPP as a national group, are not going state by state and doing anything. As far as North Carolina goes, as far as from what I understand, nothing has changed. It's possible that they are working with Ted and in the Asheville area and doing something there. I know they try to say that what we were doing is like a coup. I don't know what they're talking about, but like what's that?
what we're doing is like a what?
Like a coup.
Oh.
They're saying that what we like, even though we've built the infrastructure, we've created the incorporation, we've registered with the State Board of Elections, we've literally done all of the work. They've helped us. The only help that I can say that they've given us is when I reached out to Nick and asked him if he would reach out to Jimmy when he was coming to North Carolina to give him a heads up that we would be there. He reached out on our behalf, and that was helpful. So to be fair, I can't say they haven't helped us at all, but in the large scheme of things, it's been us. It's been all us. So we are the People's Party. We've made it public that we are not associated with them. The only real benefit in my hesitation of leaving to begin with was that 35 state rule that Delmas brought up. But if we're being honest, they're not close. MPP is not close to a 35 state solution in other states. I know they've talked
Nowhere
about
near.
Florida and California potentially doing something there, but I think even then there hasn't been a lot. So
I guess what I've sort of been thinking is if we could have some kind of a story about why we're the People's Party of North Carolina and we're not associated with MMP. And I think one of the things is that I feel like we could envision at some time coming together with people's parties of other states to be a national People's Party, but it just was not working with the current MPP organization.
now, and I like that idea. And to be clear, that's still on the table. It's just we've given MPP plenty of time to do that. If they do that, we'll be pleasantly surprised. And what our decisions aren't like set in stone or anything like that. So we can definitely vote on that. However, we still have UPA. And if other states are willing to get together and we can help them and work together, we had Kate over here from New Jersey at some point. That would be awesome. I know Washington's another state, Texas, and the Dandelions. I forget where are they at. They're somewhere in the Midwest.
Missouri.
So that potentially could be another one. So that we're still in play for that 35 state rule. We just aren't depending on MPP nationally to do it.
No, I just thought if we had some kind of a story.
Janet, have you looked at the website lately? Read the About Us page?
Is there a story about MPP on there?
About Us, yes.
Oh, okay. I was going to devote more attention to it. I haven't been feeling so hot because of the what have I got? Shingles.
Right.
But it really hangs on. It's awful. But yeah. I will pay attention to that.
And but to your point, I wanted to just really lastly just say one of the things I wanted to bring up for this meeting is, and we've talked about this before, but crafting a messaging. So when you said story, that's kind of where my mind went, like messaging about and how we would apply that in recruitment and having something succinct in telling our story.
Right.
Yeah, if you check the website, Scott wrote up something that's just perfect about the history. Rather than it was when it comes up on the tab, it says platform, but it's not. It's more of a who we are.
Okay.
Right.
And it's a historical explanation of where this thing came from, what its relation to MPP is. The whole thing laid out very clearly, and I think it's really good.
Okay.
It's certainly better than promises or anything like that. It's an honest account. It's indisputable. nobody can disagree about much of any of it. It's actual history of where we came from, and that is a good way of explaining who we are, because that really is how we got here.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we took any of the stuff about Nick and all of that. That's been removed, so it's good. And like I said, I think it well represents our history and what we're about. I also wanted to get the membership to weigh in on. I have created another page called FAQs on there, and I'm working on that right now. Also, there's another page that I want to put in. Mark, that's a good point. Platform is not what we have as far as a political party. So my question to everyone is, what should we name that? When we're going to put our positions on different topics and everything? And Maple, you really wrote up a really fairly comprehensive overall viewpoint of what most of us have. We need to put some polish on that, but I'm going to take from that and put in basically what would we call it? Our position, our platform, our viewpoint. How would we term that particular web page? But that's going to be where we kind of, Maple said, what was it? Guiding principles. Okay, well that's a good one.
I like guiding principles.
Okay, yeah, Aaron said that. Okay, yeah.
I think guiding principles is okay, but that should be quite broad. Now, for a platform, I think I said before, and I think I will again, that belongs in PANC. That is something that that the 501c4, the nonprofit advocacy group, should have and should use as basis for whether to endorse candidates or not,
Okay.
regardless of what party they're affiliated with. And if you put it, you can put it as a party platform, and parties have platforms. You know, they all have platforms that they say, but they can't really deny. And at least once they're established, they can't deny anybody their ballot line. So that, and they can't remove them from office, and they only have informal means of holding office holders to anything. So really something like that belongs in the 501c4, which is why you guys need to get that thing set up. And Aaron, you now have a bank account for it, right? And we're confirmed that it's okay to use the same post office box. And therefore, and even Scott started a website for it, right?
Yeah, I do. I'm on the first stages of it, but yeah, I do have a website, and that's
Anyway, I think that's where that kind of thing belongs. Because you can, like I said, parties have platforms all the time, but they're fundamentally meaningless. An organization that can give or withhold an endorsement for that kind of body, the platform is much more meaningful. The fact that it operates that way gives the platform teeth.
right. Delmas, you had your hand up. What's
I wanted to ask Aaron a particular question. I think one of the needs of the party is to gain some attention. Most people, you stop 100 people in the mall and say, "What's the People's Party?" I never heard of it. I think one way to do that would be to run, if you had to, a write-in candidate, which he entitled that person to get in front of media and talk to newspaper editors and things like that in various ways of getting attention. They'd bring more attention to the party. And it's not, I don't think the number of signatures for write-in is significantly less than being on the ballot. I don't know exactly how many. How many signatures does it take to get on the ballot?
Or-
Mark?
Presidential.
That's one I can answer. Right now, to get the party on the ballot, it's just under 14,000 validated ones. And for a write-in, it's 500 for any statewide office, which this year would include Senate. And for any district office, regardless of what the district is, anything less than the whole state, it's 250. So it's 250 for county commission. It's 250 for U.S. House of Representatives. Okay. Anything in between, it's 250. And of course, those are validated ones. They have to be segregated by county. They have to be turned into the county boards of election. One other requirement for a district race, all the people who sign have to live and be registered to vote in the district. So that's one other requirement. If the district in question is a county or lies entirely within a county, the petitions only get submitted to the county board of elections. If it lies in more than one county, it's the same kind of procedure as for a statewide office. They get segregated by county, they get checked by the county BOEs, and then they get submitted to the state BOE. So yeah, you can do that, and that's what the Greens have always done here with their presidential candidates until 2020. They run them as write-ins.
And down this, just really quickly, I do have a thought on. I agree with exactly what you're saying as far as getting a candidate and getting that big splash. I think election cycles are definitely going to be beneficial to us as a group here because it's going to get more people engaged. But a good example that is recent is with Matthew Ho. He came on last week. We have that recording. If you want to catch that conversation, we were able to ask him some questions. He's running as a green, but one thing that stood out to me was that both him and his campaign manager, who was on the call, basically said it doesn't matter as much to them the car that they're driving in. So if they come in as Greens or if they leave as Greens, what matters to them is the outcome and what have you. And our collaboration method and the way we're thinking about this really jives with that. And so I'm not saying that, who knows, maybe one day we can get Matthew Ho on the ballot. What I am saying is we can work with him and the Greens to get more people like Matthew Ho. And I think that's the plan. I think in the back of my mind, at least, that's what I'm thinking about doing as well. It's not going to be easy to find people like him, but if we're asking him to help us do it, it'll be a lot easier. And the way I'm approaching it is like, we're going to be helping him. We've already helped him in different ways. I've been on social media. He was on my friend JB's show on Sunday. And I could tell there's a lot of people who are skeptical because they don't believe at all in the electoral system. And I understand that. And a lot of the people that watch that show in particular, they're on 100% direct action focused, 0% electoral politics, because they've been failed by electoral politics time and time again. So I understand them and their perspective as well. But what I'll say is I was all up in that chat fighting for Matthew's perspective here, because the more they heard from him, the more he won them over. And I think as long as they can come around to about that 20% of staying focused on electoral politics in this avenue, in the anti-duopoly avenue, I think it'll be beneficial. And if we can be an example to other states that this is possible to be focused on direct action while also doing our due diligence and putting pressure on the establishment in their own game, I think that multifaceted approach is critical. So it's not to say that it's all about the candidate, but we want to make sure we're doing the direct action route as well, and with organizing, any kind of activism, any kind of pressure, and there's a lot of energy in the outside game to do that. A lot of the Democrats, their only response in the last couple of weeks is to just vote harder. Literally, that's what they're saying. We're not going to do anything, but you have to vote harder, and it's laughable. So, there are people. I'm surprised. There are people who I consider staunch liberals, who are, even them, they're like, this is ridiculous. Like what? Like they're fed up now. So it's like, yeah, remember I was telling you about that? So I think I'm noticing more and more people are coming around. But we just need to stick to the plan and be focused on what our takeaways are. And I think we're in a good position, but we just need to keep pushing. We need to keep going.
Aaron, another question I have. You were talking about Jimmy Dore. What's the where do you find him? Where I'm not too familiar with him.
You can go on YouTube and type in Jimmy Dore,
Yeah.
and he's got a YouTube channel.
Yeah, he's very polarizing. He's one of the few people that will tell it like it is from his point of view.
That's spelled D-O-R-E, not
Yeah.
D-O-O-R.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
D-O-R-E.
D-O-R-E.
Yeah, right.
There are things that I really agree with him on, and there are things that I don't. But I know that he's very polarizing. But I also know that I think his heart is in the right place. He just he has friends, and some of those friends include Nick Brana, and we just, it's one of those things. He's one of the few people though that will platform someone like Matthew Ho, and he's got like millions of followers. So he's an important piece. He's not afraid to speak his mind. He's one of the people who who puts pressure on the establishment to force the vote. He's one of the, so there's a lot of good. I know a lot of people don't like him, but
if you're thinking about buying,
I like him.
yeah, I
Not
kind of,
on everything. He's for
that's the
ranked
thing.
choice voting, but on
Yeah,
just
there's a lot-
about everything else,
Yeah, there's a
I
lot that
tend
I
to
rock
agree
with,
with him a
yeah.
lot.
But yeah, good question. Did anyone else have their hands up? I thought I saw.
Aaron, I think Ralph Nader would make an excellent candidate for
I
president.
agree. I agree. If you can get him, bring him over.
I
The question is, for what?
wouldn't have any problem getting signatures if you favor the candidate. I mean, you can get 14,000 for Ralph Nader easily
Yeah.
without much work.
Where's he at?
The thing is, maybe you could run him for president in North Carolina only, but he can't run for Senate. He can't run for House. He can't run for anything other than president in North Carolina unless he gets a house here, like Elizabeth Dole, because there's a state residency requirement for everything else, including Senate and House. In any case, the previous 3 times at least that he ran here, 96, 2000, and 2004, he was a write-in in North Carolina. He was also the Green Party nominee in 96 and 2000, but not in 2004. In 2004, he was unaffiliated. Officially in North Carolina, as far as the Board of Election is concerned, they classify anybody who's a write-in as being unaffiliated. Anyhow, his affiliation with the Greens was, not in dispute. They just weren't recognized.
Janet?
Well, I'm looking for another story, and I'm not sure how we could develop it. But I think we need a stronger narrative about why you would vote for outside of the duopoly. And it seems to me that the travesty of the North Carolina Board of Elections is something that should be really played up. So anyway, I'm just trying to formulate some kind of a narrative about why it's important to vote outside of the duopoly and what what benefits that will have for all of us.
Yeah, that's something that I want to reiterate to everybody here, wherever you're living. Kind of consider it your responsibility to be sending in opinion pieces and letters to the editor to your local papers. I've got a 500-word opinion piece going into the Winston-Salem Chronicle, and probably try to get it to the Journal as well. Everybody in your own neck of the woods, that's going to be the kind of thing that we need to be on the forefront with, is letting our voices be heard. Now, sometimes maybe they won't print these things, but it's if we can get some exposure that way, that's going to be helpful. Stacy?
Yeah, my dim memory of press releases is that potentially it could be created by the organization, so that one of you guys could write it, or one of us could write it, and we could all publish it to our local newspapers. Does that sound right? And if that's
Yeah,
then,
because we would need go ahead.
I was going to say, if that's the case, then I or anybody else can copy that and send it to our local papers, etc. Yes.
Right. Yeah. I put out a press release, and Aaron tweeted it out, and therefore, yeah, we do need to have messaging coming from the organization, and we also need to think about who's going to be the official spokesman. I would consider the chair position to be the one to say, hey, this is how we feel. This is the People's Party of North Carolina, and this is our stand, our viewpoint on this particular issue. And then, of course, this is something that we should all, have some input onto. So yeah, but we need to come into the media with a single voice that we're all in alignment with. Mark?
Right.
Yeah, that's what the bylaws say is the chair's job. But of course, you don't want to be a total autocrat. But somebody, the chair is who people who are not otherwise familiar with the organization are going to look to for that. It's just that's just the normal thing with a party or other formation. The chair is the speaker. I was looking at the bylaws, and there's since you now have a vacancy, I believe you can fill that by appointment if you want. In fact, it really will come down to whether somebody's willing to do it. But as things stand, you have 5 on the board of on the executive committee, and a quorum is 2/3. So that means a quorum is 4. If it were 60%, you'd get by with 3 when you've got 5, right? But it says 2/3 is a quorum to make a decision. So you still need 4, just like you would if you had the full 6. One thing you need to make a decision on, if you're going to get people to join, you need to decide, since the bylaws call for payment of dues, the executive committee needs to decide what you're going to ask for dues. It requires the payment of dues and the affirmation that you want to be a member and are not a member of any fascist, racist, or secret police organization. It requires those two things in combination. So you need to figure out what you want to do about the dues part. I don't have any real hard and fast opinions on the matter myself, but the point is, if you're going to have defined membership, to decide what it is. We settled on payment of dues partly because it makes the organization to some degree financially self-sufficient, and partly because you have to have some kind of rule as to who has voting rights and who doesn't. So anyhow, you need a quorum of 4 executive committee members to reach a decision on that. And if you're going to go out and buttonhole people and say, join us, you need to figure out what joining us consists of, because they're going to need to know, right? So you need to make a decision on that, and it takes 4 of you. So be thinking about that.
I'm all for the dues situation. So yeah, I think we should once we need to get our quorum together to be able to vote for the payment of dues by membership. Right now, our only requirement is that they sign they check the yes box in acknowledging that they're not part of a secret organization or fascist organization.
Yeah, right. That's because you haven't decided what dues will be. But in any case, you do need to determine that.
Does anybody have any suggestions on the dues? Would it be like
The other thing about dues we discussed was that once was the acceptance of ballot access petition signatures in lieu of cash. And you might also consider maybe what other services or in-kind contributions you might accept in lieu of cash. If people don't have money, but they have time and energy, what do you do with that? So that would be the other thing. And in order to do that, what you'd want to do is get your request to petition in, so that you now have petitions you can circulate.
Absolutely. Stacy?
Yeah. All right. I've had my hand up for a while, and I don't remember what I was going to say at first, but to answer the question about dues, I think it's really easy to have different rates for whatever people can pay. And I would say, for example, 5 months, $5 a month is $60 a year. $10, 120. No, it's not. Yeah, it's 120.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I'm confused math. So you could do $5 a month rate, $10 a month rate, $1 a month rate, and that's only $12 a year. If we can set up a automatic payment thing. So
Recurring payment, yeah.
recurring payment.
Work on that. TC, you're up.
Hey, I just was here to cheer and witness you working together, and I want to applaud your persistence and passion. And I can tell you, I can affirm all the things I'm hearing in the group tonight. Trying to reach out and get more members. What are the dues? All these issues, we go through them too, and I think it's. Hopefully someday we'll all come to some kind of agreement to make a big difference. But I appreciate you people in North Carolina. I think you're going to be the center of attention this year. So keep it up.
Well, thank you, sir. We appreciate those words.
Thank
I'll take that for
Scott,
sure. Are you, PC, are you doing the duopoly, disrupting duopoly Thursday night still, 10 o'clock?
No, that ended.
Okay.
We do the Wednesday night, and tonight I'm going to a meeting right now tonight, and we're going to talk about. I thought we were disrupting the duopoly, but we're just flexing our muscles. What we hope to do with this blueprint for a better America legislation.
Okay.
So
Cool. Yeah, keep us in the loop on that and how that's going. We definitely in support of you.
all right. Well, thank you, and I'll see you next week, maybe.
All right, buddy. You take care of yourself. All right, Janet, you're next.
Well, I was just going to say that I think we really need to keep dues to a very minimum. But
Yeah.
if there was some way to invite people with more money to make a larger donation, but I'm really sensitive to the idea. We want to represent people with no money. We want them to be part of our work, and so we can't really exclude them because they don't have any disposable income.
Right.
I'm not sure how to do that, but
Well, we could have levels and different levels of commitment to our party, financially speaking. I think that's a good idea. Like Stacy said, is we'll have different levels to what people can offer to the party, and then of course you can also exchange that for maybe your time or energy going out and getting some signatures, things like that. That could also be used in trade. So yeah, good point. So yeah, we'll definitely, if we do dues, I definitely think we should do the dues where there's different levels of participation, financial participation. Mark, you're next.
Yeah, Downhill, North Carolina is a 501c4 and has dues, which confer voting rights for, in particular, candidate endorsements. Their base rate is only $1 a month. But if you're going to collect by the month and have membership by the month, you need to be thinking about how you keep track of who's paid up and who's not. Not saying there aren't ways to do it, but back in the old days with the Green Party, basically everybody paid, and there's it's like a car club that I'm affiliated with that does it this way too. At the turn of the year, all memberships expire at the turn of the year, and everybody has to renew then. And that makes keeping track of who's done it very, very simple at any particular point in time. But anyway, it's nice to have recurring contributions coming in, but you also need to think about how you keep track of it, and you also need to think about how additionally burdensome it might be for reporting, because remember, dues are effectively a contribution to this political party committee, and they have to be reported to the state and maybe eventually to the feds. But in any case, you need to think about the mechanics if you don't keep it simple. It's just a word of practical advice there.
Okay, did Delmas, did you have your hand up?
I did. First of all, Scott, thanks for inviting me on the meeting tonight. I'm going to have to get off. At 85 years of age, it's been a long day, and I don't have the
Yeah.
stamina I once did, but it's been interesting. I want to make one other comment to Aaron. Do you know Elena Everett?
I don't think so, but I have heard the name, and I think Mark maybe. Look, Mark looks like
Mark,
he
you
knows
know
who that is.
Elena, don't you?
I used to know Elena. I haven't
Okay.
seen her for like 20,
Was
18
she
years.
here?
She's
I
come
don't
up
know. It's
before.
been a long time, but yeah, I remember her. She was with the Green Party during the time that I was treasurer. What about Elena?
She, I understand through Pete McDowell that she joined the Socialist Party, but my suggestion is she's an excellent journalist, writer. She worked for the Institute of Southern Studies at Chapel Hill. She's led several different protests. Elena would make an excellent person in a situation like this, but that's just an idea I have. Mark, Scott, you
I
know
like
her
it.
as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for inviting me, and I look forward to being on with you again.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for
Thank you.
coming, Delmas, and you're always welcome. And yeah, please come and share your wisdom with us whenever you can. We love to have you as a regular member.
Well, I do have a lot of experience, a lot
Mhm.
of wisdom, but unfortunately, I've forgotten most of it.
Hey, I got a question for you. Do you have any contacts over in the Asheville area, over in the west? Do you have any contacts over there we could really use some of those folks.
I don't.
Edge County, Buncombe County, over in that area.
Isaac Coleman was over there, and Isaac unfortunately passed away. He was a progressive Democrat. I was trying to think. Democratic National Committeeman. I'll get his name. I know him. I just can't bring it up. It's one of those age things. But anyway, I'll have to think about it. Probably
Okay.
I do. But
Yeah, just send me an email or contact information if you do remember it, and we'll follow up. But thanks again for coming.
oh, thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would say
Hey.
good night, Jim Bob, but that'd be a little silly.
Good night, John.
Stacy, you had your hand up.
Stacy.
If I did, I forgot why. So,
All right, Janet.
Janet.
Speaking of somebody in the western part of the state, I have a real trouble with names, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. It's Lauren Steiner. Do you know Lauren Steiner? And she's supporting Matthew, and
Yes.
she's also committed to Medicare for all, and so we perhaps could ask her to take a look at what we're doing.
We have.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have-
And she's got a YouTube channel too.
Right.
Yeah, I'm subscribed.
Yeah, I
don't
reached
know if
out.
I've seen anything from her for a little while, but yeah, we definitely know who you mean, and she's definitely in. I guess she's in Asheville, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it would be amazing to get her on. Yeah, I'm mutuals with her on Twitter. I know she interviewed Matthew not long after we did. She follows us. I think if I'll I'll just say this: everyone has their own pace and how they want to join. I think with her specifically, we need to prove to her that we're about it. And I
Yeah.
think as soon as she sees it, I just think she's been burned. She's been there like since like the very beginning. And I think as long as we can like prove that we're about it, she'll come around. Right now, her idea of what we are is like Nick Brana and MPP. And so we have to like prove to her like that's literally the
Right.
opposite of what we're doing. But it's hard, you know the game. It's basically like you have to put up or shut up. So I understand that, and I understand that we haven't been around that long. I think as time goes on, people are going, like, for example, the fact that Matthew came here, I think brought a lot of eyes on what we got going on, because they're like, oh, why is he going there? Who are they? Even
Yeah.
if they've heard us before, it's different. And I think if we continue to do that, we just have to play the long game, which is, there's two games. It's like all the things that we could do right now and like doing that, but then at the same time planting seeds for the long run. So
So maybe we could invite her to offer us ideas and suggestions.
yeah, I'll definitely ask her again. I've definitely reached out multiple times, and I know Scott has too, and I know Bob has. We've asked.
Okay.
So
Well, I interact with her too somewhat on Facebook. Yeah. Okay. I also just wanted to back to the dues question, and Mark reminded me when I was a member of the Democratic Women of Guilford County. They paid dues at the turn of the year, and then like halfway through the year they would give a discount if you wanted to join. And I'm thinking that also maybe there could be a scholarship or something to that effect, so that students or low-income people could still get a membership without having to come across with the full amount.
I love that idea. I'm writing that down right now.
What the Greens did when I was treasurer was they had a procedure to request a dues waiver.
Ah, yes.
That was what they did, and you can do that too. It's not so bad, but you need money. You need to be as much as possible financially accountable to your own supporters and members, and not outsiders if you can, because otherwise, where's the money going to come from, and what strings are going to be attached, right?
Well, I guess we could fundraise too.
Yeah. Oh, the libertarians have a bunch of different grades, but the thing is, it doesn't really confer anything but prestige to be a higher grade member. I mean, they don't. It's not like a corporation where if you buy more shares, you get more votes.
Right.
They don't do that.
Yeah. No, I was thinking that it could have some kind of event to raise money for the party. Can you do that? Are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, you can. You can do that. Although,
You guys, one of the things I wanted to do was talk about the treasury training, and this
Yeah,
covers a lot
do
of
that.
it. So
do that.
So yeah, the TBD on that. Maple, I see that your journey has found a stopping point. And I was so intrigued throughout this whole meeting, seeing where I was like, where is Maple? It's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego type of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here I am. So I'm in DC. And
Oh, okay.
we're blocking roads for the climate emergency. I sat down in front of a street near the White House this morning, but the cops wouldn't arrest me and my friend. And they blocked 495. This group blocked 495, the Beltway, for 2 hours on Monday.
Wow.
The whole road,
Wow.
5 miles back. So we want them to declare a climate emergency. So that's what I'm doing this week, but I'll be back tomorrow. But I had a really direct question and then a couple of comments, if I can remember all the different topics that kind of went back and forth.
Sure.
I heard most of it, and my connectivity went away when we went through a tunnel a little while ago, but then I was able to come back. And muting is good. Everyone's not muted at all, and there's a lot of echoing since Janet was on. Okay, Janet is, okay. It's hard to remember that one. It's like a discussion back and forth and not stacked, but it's going good. You guys are covering a lot. I had a quick question though for Aaron, what you just said, something like when Matt Ho was on, people were like, why is he on there? Like, I'm just wondering who you're hearing things from, because I don't really hear anything. Like, who's telling you? Is it social media where you're seeing, why did Matt Ho go on the People's Party thing? I don't hear nothing, and you can answer that right away, and then I have one or two comments.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember exactly what we're talking about, but I said two different things. So one of them was he was on a podcast on Sunday. And
no, our meeting. Why was he at our meeting? Like you were saying, people were saying, why was he with our meeting?
Oh no, that's not what I was trying to convey at all. Unless, yeah.
All right, never mind then. Okay. And the other thing was about dues. We talked about dues like 2 months ago already. I think maybe we could have a working group, like get the facts, make a chart or something and think about, because we keep talking about it and people keep kind of saying the same things. I mean, that's all right, but it kind of boring. It was like the same exact things were said a couple months ago, but whatever. And then the other thing was about, like the Jimmy Dore. I mean, he's a comedian. They have a dark side. Most comedians I've heard, like psychologically, they're kind of crazy and they're like really dark side, and they have to get, it's like a weird ego thing. And he is like, he's one of them. And he goes on, he did go on Carlson Tucker. I think it's super smart. Carlson didn't say a fucking thing. Jimmy just took right over and said all this stuff. And he just is a Dem, so they hate him. I mean, it's a lot of layers there, but it is weird how you're saying that. Like, it's interesting. I learned when you said Nick Brown and them, they're putting him out to like beef up the MPP, and that's interesting. So my question came up like in my head, like, well, how does that affect us? We're legal. We have our shit together, kind of. We need more people, so we could just keep doing what we're doing, right? Because so what if they think whatever, and you guys were smart, you grabbed the name, we legally have that name, and they can't mess with us, I hope. So I'm kind of wondering, okay, what do we care? Like, of course, we kind of care what people think, and we're going to take note of it, but they can't mess with us now, right? So we just have to try to build ourselves. And that was
right.
Mostly it for now, I guess.
Yeah, those are all great points. I'll just address some of that real quick. So first thing is, you're correct. We've always functioned under this kind of like framework, which is they need us, we don't need them. And that's nothing has changed in that regard. As far as having a party in the state of North Carolina, if they're truly trying to accomplish what they say they're trying to accomplish, which is have a national movement, they need every state to do what we're doing. And they should be helping and putting resources and boots on the ground in every state. But as we know, they are not doing that, and they have not been doing that. And as far as I'm concerned, everything I've seen, their only play is the Hail Mary play, which is Nick is friends with all these guys, Lee Camp, they're all friends. So he can go on all their platforms that have thousands and thousands of people. They haven't canceled them or anything like that. The investigation, as far as I'm concerned, is over because he made it go away. I think that's problematic. Personally, I think that's problematic, and a lot of people think that's problematic. But as far as like where we stand as a party and what they need and what have you, if they come to us and like, hey, we're making a push to get all these states on, we're putting resources on, at the end of the day, then we're the People's Party. I mean, we would be like, okay, if 35 other states got on the ballot as the People's Party, then in our state, we have a law that we can then trigger, which is the 35 states. So those are sort of some of the things that but we're not expecting that. We don't really need that. And ultimately we're doing our own thing from a grassroots standpoint. So that's going to be the thing. As far as dues is concerned, I think when I cover some of the treasury stuff, this could pretty much guide our, where we land on it. However, I will say we could decide on something right now and then vote on something different down the road as we continue to grow or as needed. It doesn't have to be exactly, set in stone now for what the long-term vision will look like. It could just be like, hey, $3 a month or $5 a month. And then, because we need the money right now. Hopefully that answers your questions. It does fire me up every time when you talk about the activism you do. Next time I might tag along with you. So we'll see.
Yeah, we need people.
Yeah, it really is. Janet says the idea of Jimmy Dore for president is ridiculous. I would laugh, except for I said this same thing for Donald Trump, and look what happened. So I'm not putting anything past anybody, or I don't care, whatever. And
Reagan, acting Hollywood people.
But to your point, Janet, that is my initial thought too. I agree, but also
I think Jimmy Dore is fantastic. I'm very little to disagree with him on, and he does a great job of reporting all kinds of information.
As president,
but it's even more ridiculous than Bernie Sanders for president, right? There's no infrastructure at all.
Wild. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Like I said, that's why I'm calling it a Hail Mary, because it makes no sense. They have no infrastructure. They're just throwing stuff out there and seeing what sticks. And some people are eating it up. I've seen accounts being created Jimmy Dore 24. They're already so they're getting their swag and stuff. I was like, man, this is why people call you a grift. So anyways, Maple, and then I don't know whose hand was up first. I see Maple and Mark.
Oh yeah, I forgot. It went away again, so Mark can go.
Okay.
Maple's first, Mark, then me. Well, they went away. Okay.
No, I think you and I, Scott, clicked at about the exact same moment. But
Okay.
the thing with needing state parties is it's state parties that get the ballot lines. The state party is what gets recognition. The state party designates usually the national nominee, but in some states they'll do something different, like Alaska Greens did when they put Jesse Ventura on instead and last time around. But the point is, it's the state party that tells the state government who their candidate is and goes on the ballot. And if the state party doesn't organize and get that ballot line through petitioning or whatever the state requires, in many states it's petitioning, it doesn't matter how big a following that presidential candidate has nationally. There is no such thing as federal ballot access. It's all state by state. So it doesn't matter if Jimmy Dore or whoever has 10 million followers. If without state party organizations to get the party on the ballot and declare him their nominee, and also come up with a slate of electors for the electoral college in case he carries the state, that's what you have to do to designate the presidential nominee. And if you got nothing on the ground in the state, how does it happen? Doesn't. So basically they would have to, it would have, the publicity is worth a lot. I mean, and a lot of money will do it. Perot did it. Perot actually, I mean, I don't know. I'd never heard of Ross Perot before 1992. I don't know about the rest of you who are old enough to remember, but he was famous among some industrial circles, but politically or otherwise, it's like, who is this guy? He's a millionaire from Texas. Anyway,
He had great charts. He was on TV with his charts. But I worked on.
that was during the campaign, right?
Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I worked on his campaign in Washington State.
Yeah, I was I was a supporter of his as well.
Anyway, he had nothing on the ground, and in '92 he ran unaffiliated. He was officially an independent candidate, and that he had to pay an awful lot and get a lot of volunteers to get all those signatures. Back in those days in North Carolina, to get on unaffiliated for president took actually slightly more signatures, just slightly more than to get a party on. It was instead of 2% of the vote for governor, it was 2% of registered voters, which is a somewhat larger number. So actually that got challenged and overturned in 2003. And then the ruling has been reversed now. And that's why it takes 6 times as many to get an unaffiliated candidate on the North Carolina ballot now as to get a party on. Anyway, Perot had to pay an awful lot of petition signatures to make that happen. And that's what Gore would have to do. He'd get volunteers too. I mean, he's better known, but he's not a billionaire. Perot funded the thing largely himself, and he had the money to play with and wanted to do it. But in '96, he didn't do it the same way. He ran again, less successfully, you'll probably recall, but rather than run unaffiliated, he started a party and called it the Reform Party, right?
Okay. I don't remember working on signatures at all in Washington State. We were Democrats and Republicans working together on the United We Stand, it was called.
Right. I don't think Washington State requires signatures.
Oh,
Right now, they don't. I don't know what Washington State was like in '92 or '96, but right now, Washington State for the presidency, I think they require, it's very easy to get party recognition. And that's why PPOW, People's Party of Washington, has as much state recognition as a party can get. It's just a matter of incorporating as a 527 and letting the state know. It's just really, really easy. And then you can designate a presidential nominee. It's odd. I think it's like North Carolina in that if you're recognized for the presidency, they require a party primary, but they don't make it binding. No state can make the primary binding because the presidential nominating process is outside any state's jurisdiction. So what the Democrats do is there's a Democratic primary in Washington, but it's a beauty contest primary. And they also have a caucus in Washington, right? Does that agree with your recollection? The caucus is what actually nominates the delegates to the Democratic convention.
All right,
Okay,
guys, we gotta get back on.
To,
Anyway.
what I got my hand up.
Go ahead,
so
Scott.
I'm going to go ahead and start.
Please go.
All right. Now we got some business here. Maple, I don't know if you're aware, you got in here a little bit late, and Bob has resigned as the vice chair, so he's no longer going to be in the inner workings of the executive committee. So that means we have an opening for vice chair. Is anybody interested in filling that slot? I have the authority to, what is it? Assign someone that role, or we can leave it
Vice
open.
President of the what committee?
The vice chair of the party.
What's the responsibilities, job responsibilities?
Well, you would step in when the chair could not fulfill his or her duties. Basically it would be like if me or Aaron couldn't run the meeting, then you would step in, or whoever would step in, supporting the chair when the chair could not perform his or her duties. It's kind of like the assistant roles in the assistant secretary, assistant treasurer. Most of the time would not really require very much work in addition to what you're already doing, but it does need to be filled, and it's part of our decision-making process. We need to have a full executive committee in order to have.
I nominate Janet.
Who?
I nominate Janet. I nominate Janet.
I'll
Janet.
second that. I'll second that.
Okay, we got a nomination in a second. Janet, are you interested?
I'm just feeling like I need to be coming along and watching what's going on. I don't feel like I have the ability right now to chair a meeting or so.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
What about
Well, you
you,
don't have
Mark?
to decide right now, Janet. You can think on it.
Okay.
What about you, Maple?
Yes, that's what I was going to nominate.
Yeah.
I'm working,
So
I'm
anyway,
working on the climate emergency every day. Sorry.
I
Well-
second Maple.
I
Oh.
can't. I'm working on the climate emergency every day.
You don't have to
Day
decide.
and-
You
and
can think on
evening.
it.
I can't do it.
You don't have to decide now, Maple. You can think on it.
Yeah. Well, that's just, everybody just keep that in mind. We do need to fill that slot. So going forward. So,
Mark's got his hand raised.
well, I got one more thing here. We need to have a meeting of.
Maybe Mark wants to do it. Wait, ask Mark.
No, but I was just going to point out that you can conduct business without an assistant chair. For a
I
while.
nominate Mark.
You can, and you still need 4 people for a quorum for the
Scott said-
meeting. If you want, I have the bylaws right up here. I'll read you. It's not very long. Oh, geez. My flaky clicker switch, it went away. I'll have to bring it up again. Anyway,
While you're looking for that, the populist action, we need to have a meeting. We need to start scheduling regular meetings for that group. So that can be either in addition to the Wednesday meetings, or we can just split off and have one meeting a month for populist action on Wednesdays, and then the other 3 meetings would be, or we could split them up equally, but we're going to have to start taking some time to start getting that thing going and getting that organization organized and set up. And so, yeah, as Mark had suggested in the past, which is a really good suggestion, is to use that pressure group. We can actually start making a difference with that pressure group almost immediately. So it is important. Does anybody have any feelings about how we should meet? You want to do a once a month with them, split them off, or
I have a question.
take everybody's opinions? Go ahead.
Okay. Well, when I did those, how would we stand in the stances, and here's the issues and blah, blah. I did that document for something they have around. Then Mark said, oh, well, that's for the, whatever you talked, the name of the thing, the other piece. I'm sorry, the 527 or whatever. So that's something we could work on. And I just put in the chat, you know, for a press release. So like, who are we? The document where we would want a candidate to stand, and then the we are somebody, and here's who we are press release thing or whatever. I think we need some people to work on that together and pass it around and, you know, talk about it, what we want. But anyway, isn't that something that that group would do? And it's something we want done and to be able to have that ready anyway. So that could be a project, right? For that 527.
That is exactly what I'm suggesting, and that's one reason you want to get that thing set up. Anyhow, I got the bylaws up again. Let's see if I can do this without closing the tab. There we go. The chair shall be chief executive officer of the party and shall have general supervision of the affairs of the party. Chair shall preside at meetings of the executive committee and state convention, or designate another person as facilitator or meeting chauffeur. 2, convene executive committee as needed, but for at least 6 meetings per calendar year. 3, set the date for the annual state convention and appoint convention officials, including the credentials committee. 4, appoint an assistant treasurer and assistant secretary as deemed necessary to assist said officers in carrying out their duties. 5, serve as a spokesperson for the party. 6, raise funds necessary for the party to meet its goals. And then it says vice chair. Vice chair shall act as assistant to the chair and preside in their absence. The vice chair shall perform duties as directed by the chair or executive committee. In the event of a vacancy in the chair position, the vice chair shall become chair. There isn't any similar chain of succession for if the vice chair resigns, however. But there is elsewhere in the rules, there is a quorum rule, and I believe it's 2/3 for the executive committee to make a decision. So 2/3 of 6 is 4, and at least 2/3 of 5 is also 4. 3 would only be 60%, which is less than 2/3. So anyway, you can still make decisions. The quorum requirement is still 4 people as before. So you can still do business. But if you lose the chair too, then you got a problem.
Okay, Janet? Janet? Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and make the decision. We'll do the populist action. We're gonna do populist action once. We're gonna do it once a month now. And so let's make this next week, this next Wednesday's meeting, a populist action meeting, and we'll be basically focusing our energies, brainstorming on how we need to push that particular organization out. Janet?
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that's a good idea. And I would think that if we have regular Wednesday meetings, that a small portion of it could be devoted to the other organization if there was something specific that needed to be handled. Yes.
Right. Try to fit both of them into one meeting.
Well, sort of adjourn and say we have to consider what we're going to do about a vice chair. So the last 15 minutes, say from 8:15 to 8:30, we need to bring that up. But otherwise, it would be devoted to the popular action. That's as an example.
Might require a different.
Yeah, I think you can do that as long as the memberships of the two organizations don't diverge too much.
Right.
I mean, if you've got a, if you start having significantly different memberships for the two bodies, then
Right.
then that would be a bit of a problem.
And then you could
Otherwise, I don't see a problem. with-
always have a called meeting if there was something urgent that couldn't be handled Wednesday. So, yeah, I like the idea of just staying with Wednesday.
Good enough. All right, well, we're getting towards the end of the meeting here. Aaron, did you have a treasury update?
Yes, I did. I no longer have time for that at all. So
Really?
that's, yeah,
Well-
that's not that's gonna have to go down another time. I'll say this, we have we officially, this doesn't have to do with the 527, but we do officially have the new account. Scott got us set up there and I signed that today for the.
A what? I'm
new-
sorry, a what?
For the new bank account, for the, the.
A lot of
populous-
echo.
501c4
The
for
501c4.
the PANC, right?
Correct.
For the
So
pressure
that's
group.
correct. So that's
Yeah.
official. So that's official. And I have to, so I I sent that email out. I got certified with the Treasury training, which is good because as of the 1st of July, we could now file, and that filing is actually due next week, like I think the 12th. So I need to do that like ASAP. Every day past the due date, I think they like fine you like $250 a day. So that's a pretty big penalty. So that is the number one thing that I have to focus on, and everything else has to fall in the background. Throughout the training, the very first thing in the training is to share with the membership everything in the training pretty much, which is what I wanted to do tonight. We do not have time since it's past 8:30, but at another time I can go over. I've took extensive notes, and I'm sure you guys are so excited to learn all about Treasury and all the rules. It is honestly very it's very informative. They tell you a lot. It helps you understand how our strategy and approach should be for things like commercial ads or funding, all the things we have to do. It's a lot. So it's a lot. There's no way I can fit it in. I crammed in the entire training in one night, pretty much pulled an all-nighter last week, Wednesday, after the McCoracle powwow. So that's how I got that done. And I know Stacy is, I think you're scheduled for, are you scheduled for one in July?
July 21st.
21st, yeah. So that will be exciting. Once Stacy has that done, she'll be able to sign those forms too, if I'm ever not there. But I can do it. It's there's a, how much time do you need for the report? How much time do I need? Like how long will it
Yeah,
take me
she
to do
was
the
saying,
report?
Yeah.
can't you just give us the report, like a special
Well-
meeting? Or she said in Gilded, we're trying to say like, okay,
Oh.
let's do it a different way, not wait till next Wednesday if there's this deadline. I'm a little worried. Why can't we just do it at a different time or something?
Well, the good thing is you guys don't need to have this report back for me to do the filing. I can still go ahead and do the filing. I was just, for your information, going to share. Basically, it's like one of the first things they tell you is like everything in this training reported back to your people. But there's no timeline. There's no rush. I can
But-
do it later.
This is what he's talking about there is the quarterly report that the state needs for a political party
Yeah.
committee. The
Stacy-
treasurer has to file those every 3 months. And
Yeah.
so we just got to the end of June, so it's due. That's all.
Yeah, go ahead, Stacy.
It's really hard to get a word in edgewise. I just want to say that. And I'll also just say that if you let us know how much time you will need, we can schedule it into the meeting and say, I need this much time, and then we can prioritize it instead of going off on all these tangents like we've been doing tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know how much time I'll need. Probably at least a half an hour.
Okay, good. So can we devote a half an hour to the next meeting for the report?
Sure.
Good.
What I'll say is it'll affect both the PANC meeting, so that won't change anything as far as what we'll need to do. Although I'm not sure how long it's going to take, since that would be our first official meeting in that regard. So it might need to be 2 weeks from now. Who knows? So no big deal. What I can do is I will send I'll try to send the document. I'll email the document of all the notes. It's a lot. And so you guys can just peruse it on your own time. And I'll email that. So I don't know if I want to put that in Gilded, but I'll send it to you in an email. And it'll also give you all the answers, Stacy, for your training.
Well, you could put it as a Google Doc and then share it out to specific people.
I could do that. Well, let me talk to you about that after the meeting. I could do
Right.
that. But yeah, that's all I got.
Okay,
Maple?
you got any?
Yeah, one little thing, I mean, we were talking about Matt and everything lately and how it would be so cool, you know, and then we're waiting for his legal thing now, but still, like, I thought a lot of us were interested in sending out a press release about how we as a new party would align with, you know, not non-duopoly, and how we need to be treated fairly in North Carolina or whatever. Maybe we can do up a quick, you know, dual, you know, we are paragraph, and we are appalled at the way, or where we don't want to turn people off at, but you
Maybe
It's
so.
know.
already been done,
Yeah, it's
Maple.
been done.
It's already been done. It's been
Um,
done.
I was only like 3 minutes late.
No,
Okay.
this was on Gilded. This is
So
so
we've already put that out on Twitter,
yeah.
and I've already sent out press releases to my people as well. So
Yeah. Can
already
you see
been
the
done.
comment section right now?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
let me
yeah.
send the verbiage there. So you can see
All
it.
right, thank you. Yeah, that would have been a good timing thing, and like we were talking about it, so,
Yeah,
okay.
we did it.
We
Um,
talked about it earlier, Maple. It must have been when you were offline.
Yeah, I was trying to get
And-
on the subway. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so what we decided is that the press release, well, actually, that the party can produce a press release that we can all use and say, this is the official press release from the People's Party of North Carolina. And we can send that all off to our local newspapers or wherever we want to post it. But we can all use the one that one person wrote. And I hope that we can use the one that Scott, you're the one who wrote that press release, right? And you're muted, Scott.
yeah, I can send that out in email, and you guys can. Well, Aaron, there you go. He put it in the.
Also, Scott didn't know this, I don't think, but even before he sent this to me, I had already sent something out on the
Yeah.
Twitter page. So
Mhm.
I was all over it. I was all
Yeah.
over it that entire week.
Yeah, so that's something too, Maple, is we were talking about that. I don't know if you caught it or not, but you know, get familiar with your local newspapers, and you know, spend some time, you know, whenever something like this happens, send them a letter to the editor, send a, you know, opinion piece, what have you, and get out there in their face with how we feel about it. Absolutely, we should all be doing that.
So can I just quick ask, is it okay to send out that one that you just posted, Aaron, as an official People's Party of North Carolina press release? Are we good with that?
Yeah, we've okay. Let me share the link for that.
I just wanted to be clear. I want to be sure that if it goes out to my local newspaper with People's Party North Carolina, nobody's going to freak out.
No, yeah, for sure. That's what Scott mentioned this over the weekend. He wanted us to share that with the local folks. And I don't know if I said it on here or if I just said it in the chat, but I did CC Scott on it, and I sent it to the contact at the Fox 8 at the local Greensboro station. I have not heard back, so it is
Okay.
what it is.
Great.
Maple? Maple's not. Nope. Okay. Scott, you want to close this out? Oh, wait. No, Mark's got his hand up. Go ahead, Mark.
Just pointing out that what's in the chat is actually two documents. There's first the press release, and then there's second Aaron's tweet on Twitter. So if you
Oh.
you don't want to copy and paste that full body of text, it'll look kind of funny. Also, there's a few spelling and punctuation and typos that you might want to pay some attention to. But the basic content is good. That's all.
Yeah, quick question. I can't copy on my phone. All I have is my phone with me, and so I can't save that. So that actual 2 long paragraphs that look good, those are somewhere else because it's
Are
not
you-
in
Yeah.
in Twitter. I looked at the Twitter.
It's on.
Okay.
I'll send you the link.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming, and look forward to seeing you next week. We will hear a full rendering from Aaron, and we'll also be exploring ideas and things we need to do to get populist action up and running in a more effective way, I guess you would say. So you guys have a good week.